I am the CFO of a Norwegian technology company, Protectoria Venture, and I'd like to present quickly here the story we have. We are a company delivering digital ID infrastructure, which is allow companies and governments to manage digital identities. But what we do differently from the current systems and architecture is that we offer a decentralized architecture, which means that the users and the citizens have full control and sole control of their own data. This is a really different approach than all the digital ID systems today, where the user and the client and the customer depend on the issuer of the ID, and where all the data are stored in centralized databases. We believe that this new approach will be the future architecture for all ways to manage digital IDs, which are the backbone of all digital business models. So we expect significant growth. We have anticipated this development and developed a technology platform which has allowed us to sign a contract with the most popular city in the Philippines, which will provide revenues for more than $10 million at the peak year in 2028. We are also in negotiation with other cities in the Philippines for a similar contracts. And from then on, we'd like to look for expansion in the ASEAN region. All this new digital infrastructure will have a major social impact by including more people in the population, by lowering the cost by providing digital services and financial service to everyone in the population. So we think this will have a massive impact on integrating more people into the economy. We are now looking for some partnership and raising capital. We are selling 10 to 15% of the company and look for strategic partners that can help us scale from this Philippine position to a more global company. So what are the problems we actually solve? That's always the question. And we think we solve one of the most urgent and challenging problems of today's digital infrastructure. I made this illustration from thinking back to the Wild West, because in the Wild West, nothing was really secure, and the transfer of money had the risk of being attacked. And we are experiencing today the same, actually, but in a digital space. The number of attacks and the number of hacking devices and the number of ways to actually steal data is incredible. And we see this expansion and this of cyber criminality, which really threaten many digital models today. One of these things is, for example, this Trojan horse, which is a kind of malware which can be downloaded to your mobile phone. It's actually a spy in your pocket. You can listen to everything which happens, and you can steal all your password, all your contacts, all your bank credentials, credit card details. So this is really challenging for the ability of any person to actually transact in a secure way on the internet. And the data are really staggering. According to this newspaper, which has made some investigations, there are billions of passwords which are stolen every year, billions of emails. Government password, government databases are stolen. Personal data in any company's databases can come out in the open, and this is really a challenge. So all this leads to lack of trust in digital solutions and restricts the expansion of digitalization in the economy. And it limits also the government's ability to communicate directly with their own citizens. So we try to solve that by proposing a new digital architecture where the user is in control of their own data, digital IDs. They will own the data, and I will explain more in detail, by themselves, like they own their own passport. and they will approve every time these data are used. This is called decentralized digital infrastructure. And we use a technology which is even more sophisticated, which we'll explain later, which is the so-called self-sovereign identity technology. And we believe this will be the future architecture. The European Union have already decided that all European citizens shall have their own personal digital ID. And South Korea has decided the same for their own citizen for 2025. So I go more in detail back on that, but just a few words about who we are and what we want. We think we are able to develop world-class digital infrastructure technology with combining proprietary technology and the best of breed technology and creating this digital architecture, which is a combination of hardware and software. We want to, by that, empower all people to control their own data, their own identity. We want to grow in the ASEAN region. And once we have achieved a certain position there, we think we would be ready to have a global growth, but we will need more capital. So who are we and how are we come where we are? We are actually a combination of three different teams. We have a Scandinavian team where I belong, where my boss, the CEO, the entrepreneur, with a background in cybersecurity, encryption, finance and venture, business development. This team has worked together with a team in Berlin, which has been inside the European Union, which has been following all the digital regulation and the European efforts to secure identities and personal data. And we have a team in Manila, which is well connected with good contacts with governments and local governments, which are doing the sales and marketing. So we combine these three teams into what we think could be a really powerful combination. What is this system? I will try to explain because technology is complicated, but basically it's a platform which we call on the left My Identity System of software, combination of open source elements of blockchain technology, and with an SSI structure, with a structure decentralized, which should allow to identify, authenticate, and secure signature of people. And this platform is cloud-based, and it works with application on each citizen's iPhone and on iPhone or other phones. And with these apps, they are able to control their own data, and it interacts with the platform. And this allows us to make a total end-to-end system, which is totally secure, scalable, extremely efficient, user-friendly without password, and where all the users are secure that they own their own data and control their own data. So this is really powerful components. Here are the very few selling points, which we think are really convincing. The most important one is that it creates trust, because you are pretty sure that the person who identifies himself is the real person. We have reduced fraud to almost nothing. And it's really user-friendly, scalable, it's quick, and without password, without the physical things. It's really replace any physical need for a digital identity, and it creates trust in the system. What is obvious is that the benefits of this has been developed partly in the European Union, and they decided on the 3rd of June that all European citizens should have such a digital ID. It will take some years to implement, and they are working on the legal legislation, but we are going to Asia because the contracts are there now. They are willing to sign contracts. So what is these products? I'll just, the two main products we have is one on the left is a citizen ID, where the government provides this digital ID to the citizens, and it allows the government to be secure, to be sure that the citizen is from this city and that he has the credential in order to get the benefits that the law is telling them that they have to provide. On the right, we have the health ID, which allows the citizen to document his vaccine certificates and any other health properties that he wants to use when he's provided health services. So these are the main two products we have. What I would like to say is that, yes, here's the founder, and we have a team, which I presented already. What I would like to say, we see some expansion growth in the near term with other cities in the Manila area, where we have a population of 12 million people, and our infrastructure services do the same functionalities in all these. And we are also in discussion for a national ID, but that will take more time. So a few words about the market. Yes, some different external consultant firms believe that this is a market that will expand significantly. If you look at the pure software element, but we do the full integration, it's going to grow by 80% according to the A2Z report. But if you look at the broader infrastructure market, they're talking about a market growing to $22 billion by 2027. Another benefits of this is the social impact that I mentioned. We believe that this solution of a trusted digital IDs is promoting at least 6 of the UN sustainable goals. It reduces poverty, improve the health of the people, it involves women into the economy, it promotes innovation, and it's a very important part of the city's infrastructure, because if everybody is sure about their own IDs, you can provide services to them. So we think this is really a sustainable demand for these kind of solutions. A few words about competition. First, although we have the health and the citizen ID, the same structure of digital infrastructure can be used in all the industries. And here are the other that you see. We are now in the health and in the national ID certificates, but it can be used for payment, transaction, industrial, voting, and legal processes to store, transmit, and sign in a more trusted way. Regarding competition, this is obviously a new market, and we have been analyzing competition. There are 50 to 60 companies in the world with a focus on this SSI technology, but very few have contracts. So it's really starting now to explode the demand, but we will see several companies emerging from this. We think we have a kind of first mover advantage because we have this first contract, which put us and demonstrate the powerfulness of the technology. And we offer, in contrast to the other, an end-to-end infrastructure service, while most of the other vendors will sell just software as a software. But we will see this will expand quickly. So how is the business model? We sign long-term contracts, and we get paid for each time we issue an ID. Each time the ID is verified, and we also get subscription revenues for having the infrastructure in place working. So we combine all these 3 things, and it scales very, very well with the number of users and the number of transactions. So it's a really powerful business model. So to sum up quickly, here is the forecast from the first contract. But to sum up, we think we have a very attractive business model, which is cash generative. We invite partners. Now we're looking for 10% share. We look to raise $2 to $3 million to complete the technology platform and build the organization to deliver on the expected signed contracts. We will make a second issue later in order to set for global growth, and we expect listing on the stock exchange in the Nordics within 2 years. That was, do you have any questions? Sorry, maybe I took more than 10 minutes.
Thank you, Erik. It was a great presentation. Now we will take some questions. If we have any questions, please ping us. Thank you. Or if you are in the panel and you would like to talk, please go ahead and ask questions.
So Erik, you're talking about your business model. It's a more B2B or B2C focus?
It's a B2B, but either our ID infrastructure is integrated in another service provider services as the backbone in order to control and be secure that the customer, the citizens are the citizen they pretend to be, or we can provide it alone, as we do for the government or local city caisson, where we manage the whole thing on behalf of the city. So, but it's primarily a B2B, but we are able to control until the user experience by delivering the applications on his iPhone and on his phones. By the way, India has a centralized databases for digital IDs, and there are some issues with that. And maybe India in 5 years' time will revert to, or will go to a decentralized, where the user have more trust in the system because they will control their own data.
Okay, thank you.